The European leaders are participating in this year's Munich Security Conference amid some deep unease about the state of the NATO military alliance. And this year's event has come after the American President Donald Trump has threatened to take over Greenland, criticized Europe's record on immigration, and has expressed doubts about NATO's support for Washington. Now, Germany was in fact the first to open the event. The German Chancellor Friedrich Merz warned that freedom is increasingly endangered in an era of great power politics, stressing that all is not well with Washington, and European Chancellor has urged the United States to repair ties with the latter.
A gulf, a deep chasm, has opened up between Europe and the United States of America. Vice President J.D. Vance said this very frankly here in Munich a year ago. He was right. The MAGA movement's culture war is not ours.
And earlier, the U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio arrived in Munich, met with the top Chinese delegation. Marco Rubio met his Chinese counterpart Wang Yi on the sidelines of the summit, as Washington and Beijing are eyeing a visit by President Donald Trump to China in April. The American top diplomat has also warned that the old world and its order is long gone.
The old world is gone, frankly, the world I grew up in, and we live in a new era in geopolitics. And it's going to require all of us to sort of re-examine what that looks like and what our role is going to be.
The Munich saw protests against fossil fuels on the sidelines of the Munich Security Conference as Trump revoked the key climate rule, which states that greenhouse gases endanger public health. European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen, the NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte and the German officials announced heightened European defense efforts at the Munich Security Conference, stressing the critical importance of bolstering NATO.
We had years, decades of complaints by the US about the fact that in Europe we were not spending enough on defense. That has changed with the summit in The Hague. The shift in mindset is that yesterday in the room what we felt, all of us, and there was a clear coming together of vision and of unity, is Europe really stepping up. Europe taking more of a leadership role within NATO.
So as Germany's security conference progresses, the exiled Iranians in Europe also staged protests again and highlighted the state of affairs and unrest inside of Iran.
We are here today because we are against mullahs and the Shah. We staged a revolution in 1979 and then drove the dictator out of Iran. We celebrated big time that day because the dictator was gone and we don't want to replace one dictator with another.
Huge numbers of world leaders, top military officials and politicians have descended on Germany for the annual Munich Security Conference to discuss the key issues facing the world. Last year, Vice President J.D. Vance came and launched a blistering attack on America's European allies, forcing leaders to confront a future where the US is not always aligned with Europe. Since then, President Donald Trump has berated Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky in the Oval Office. The White House has largely cut Europeans out of direct negotiations between Ukraine and Russia to end the war. And Trump threatened to use force to take control of Greenland, part of America's NATO ally Denmark. At conferences like this, there's always a lot of talking. But the question is, what are these discussions going to achieve? What can Europeans do to become more independent of the US? What can they do to support Ukraine, to bolster their own security, ramp up defence production and improve their armed forces? And are European leaders prepared to have tough conversations with their people about the threats Europe faces and the cost to deter them?
For all the latest news, download the WION app and subscribe to our YouTube channel.